Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day. For Turkey Day is race number 6 at Del Mar. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 3 Red Carpet Handicap. Fillies and mares going a mile and 3/8 on the turf. This is a pretty wide open race, Mike. I want to remind everybody to download these free Formulator Pass performances for the red carpet, access them, handicap along with us. This distance, I think, is the determining factor in the race. Who's going to want to stay? Because you've got several informed horses stretching out for the first time.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I really do feel like the distance is going to be the key determining factor here. So we'll just see, I guess, who handles it best, Dan, because I really feel like it's a real question mark for most of these horses. I don't know who's going to really get the distance to be able to run their best race anyway over this distance. You know, you do have a horse, shipping in for Chad Brown in the 4. I mean, I guess that horse is going to be the favorite in this race, Dan, but it's not like she's a total standout.
I tend to agree with you. Orglan's a nice horse, and Chad, of course, we've seen horses from the East Coast come over to Southern California, just make hay in the turf division, whether it be against the boys or the fillies and mares. This is a nice horse. She's stepping up in class. Blame Debbie, obviously, has credentials. She really loves going this distance, but she had an easy trip last time out. Maybe there are some sleepers, and perhaps a sleeper is a horse trying this distance for the first time that's expected to make the lead according to the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector. That's going to Vegas. Now, going to Vegas has been knocking on the door since she was claimed for $50,000. She's a 3-year-old facing older horses for the first time while stretching out, but she does have speed, and she's going to be a price again.
Yeah, she will be a price again, and I do think that she could make the lead in this race, Dan. So maybe that's to her advantage. If nothing else, she's coming off of, going by the speed figures anyway, she's coming out of the best race of her life.
One of the top 3-year-old fillies based in Southern California as it pertains to routing on the turf is the 1, California Kook. This horse was second in the Del Mar Oaks. I thought she had an outside chance in the QE2 Cup last time out, and she was never going to win that race. She came wide into the stretch. She never stopped trying, but she was just overmatched against the likes of Harvey's Little Goyle, who came back, obviously, to run 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Turf with a big buyer speed figure. Now, she's going to be stretching out past 1 mile and an 1/8 for the first time, but she has figures that make her competitive.
She does. She's going to need, to me anyway, Dan, I just feel like she's just going to need the right trip in this race. She's a horse who doesn't have a lot of speed. So it just feels like she's not only going to have to pass a lot of horses, but she's going to have to do it going a longer distance than she's ever been before. So I guess the question would be, is she still going to have the same closing kick that she has going shorter? If she does, she's a big player in here.
Let's watch the replay of the 2. Never Be Enough. Her most recent win. She's now won 4 of her last 5. This is the Catherine Crosby Stakes. You see her on the outside. She got a nice pace setup to win this race. And I think folks looking at her winning streak, 4 of the last 5, are going to know, well, her loss came going 1 mile and 3/8 on the turf. She's won going 2 miles overseas, so she can get the distance.
Yeah, I don't think I would worry about the distance either. You just worry about her class, Dan. Is she good enough to go with horses like this? I mean, not that this is, the toughest graded stakes race in the world, but she is stepping up.
Same thing for the 3, Colonial Creed. She ran 2nd in that replay we just saw you against Never Be Enough. And she's a solid horse also, taking a big stretch out in distance. And I like her sire, Jimmy Creed, a lot. It's not like his progeny, though, scream 1 mile and 3/8. But this horse has some ability. Graded stakes on dirt and obviously can step on the grass.
I mean, her overall form is fine. I don't, you don't look at her, I don't think, and think she's a, typical graded stakes kind of horse, but her overall turf form is actually very good, and she's already won going 9 furlongs. Maybe she'll stretch out.
Let's watch Chad Brown's morning line favorite, the 5-2, number 4, Orglan's most recent win at Belmont, going 1 mile and an 1/8. Now, she came from last in this race, but I think some things worked out for her. I think the pace really picked up the middle portion of this race, and she got a great closer's ride from Arad Ortiz, Mike. I mean, she was able to save ground. We see her splitting in the yellow, and she goes right on by. I didn't love the field she beats. Whenever I see you beating Capta Crias, who are you beating?
It wasn't a very strong field, and you're 100% correct in that she got a great closer's trip and ride in there from Irad. But to me, she got that trip and ride because I think Irad rode her like she was the best horse in the race. He didn't really care that she was last up the backstretch. And she won that race very easily at the end. I feel like she's pretty good. I watched her Monmouth race off the long layoff, and she just looked to me like a horse who really needed that effort, and it was not a poor performance at all. She took a big step forward last time, and now I guess Chad shows some confidence and ships her out here.
And that last race we showed you was at 1 mile and an 1/8. This horse has won going long overseas. The 5's going to Vegas, and I guess there were some class questions coming into her last race. I mean, she'd been a claimer for most of her career. She was taken by Richard Baltas. She really stepped up, but couldn't get through her entry-level optional claiming condition. She ran well in the Grade 3 Autumn Miss last time out. I thought it was a nice setup. They were going fast up front. She was kind of mid-pack, and you see her splitting horses 3 wide. She's got a big look at this in mid-stretch. She's just going to get run down over the top by Warren's Showtime, who's a useful horse. If she can get the distance, I think she's a sleeper. And I think the fact that she could make the pace and slow this down, it gives her a puncher's chance.
It does. Her running style definitely gives her a puncher's chance in here. And again, she's coming off the best race of her life. I mean, I don't know if she's going to be able to back it up, Deb, but she ran well last time. I mean, that was a fast pace, and she was closer to it than the winner was. She stayed very gamely to the end and just got beat. I liked that performance from her. That stretch out 3 furlongs. That's a big ask.
Let's watch Woodfin's last race. That's a sneaky good effort in an allowance race at Keeneland, going a mile and a 16th. I mean, as we see, she's way, way back. And she just kind of weaves her way through, and this is a nice little effort for her running third. Now, her Buyer's speed figures are light compared to some of the others. She's eligible for a non-winners of 2 life, but I get the feeling she'll stay this distance. Maybe she comes for a piece at a giant price and makes her underneath single race exotics.
Yeah, I could see using her that way. I didn't really view her as a win candidate. She has a pretty bad running style for this race. If she's going to close and beat this field, she's going to have to outclose some pretty good horses.
I wonder if the 7 Aunt Luby's running herself back into shape for Dick Mandel. This is a daughter of Uncle Mo that was away for a long, long time. This is only her 5th start off of the layoff. And let's watch her race last time out. They finally got a chance to stretch her back out. She did run well before the layoff at a mile and 3/8. This is a mile and an 1/8 race. She sat second. She isn't able to go by. Maybe that's disappointing because she's been stuck at this entry level for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't see she didn't run terribly last time. I didn't see her excuse in that race. I mean, she had every chance to win. You could just see her at the end there. She wasn't finishing very strongly in there. She couldn't get up. It didn't make me want to bet her back in this race.
Blame Debbie's finished first in her last 3 races for Graham Motion, including this effort, the Dowager, a Grade 3 race at Keeneland. And this race just, boy, there are no pace whatsoever. Trotting horse fractions. They go 3/4 and 20 and 3, and they just ran 1, 2, 3 around the track. It was a great ride by Manny Franco.
It was. I mean, he definitely took advantage in there. She won the race, I thought, pretty convincingly. It was only ahead. I thought it was still pretty convincing at the end, Dan. She was never letting that runner-up go by her. The good thing to note about her is she doesn't need to have that trip to win. Her race 2 back at Keeneland, they took her off the pace. She traveled strongly all the way in that race. Once she altered clear, she ran that field over. I don't know where the disqualification came from. A Kentucky Downs 3 back. Somehow they disqualified her, but she was much the best that day too.
Motion's really figured this one out. Blinkers, distance on the turf. You mentioned the versatile running style. 3-to-1's fair on the morning line, considering her credentials. Hollywood Girls, the number 9. She's going second start off a layoff for John Sheriff. She does have some upside. She finished ahead of Aunt Luby 2 starts back coming from out of it. I don't know. I didn't love her last race. She was the beaten favorite in the Aunt Luby race.
She has to improve, and I think she has to improve quite a bit. Personally, I didn't care for the ride that Smith gave her last time in the Aunt Luby race. I don't know, why you have to be 3-4 wide around the racetrack and never try to get over and save any ground. So, I didn't care for that ride from her. I think she will stretch out. I just wonder if she's good enough.
Quick drew a tough outside post position, even going a mile and 3/8 at Delmar where there's plenty of time. A tough outside post. She ran really well 3 back in the CTT and TOC over course and distance, missing by a neck to Maxim Rate, who's a useful horse. Let's watch her last race. This is an optional claimer. They cut her all the way back to a mile. She's the beaten favorite in here. She's going to finish second, but she's very competitive on the figs. And again, this distance is probably what she wants. And Rispoli's riding great in Southern California. I think he's going to use this filly's natural speed to get out of there and get a spot.
Yeah, I think so too. It would really serve him well to ride that way too, Dan. She got wired last time. I thought all in all she ran fine last time. Only second best at the end, but that horse was on a very loose lead in that race.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Thanksgiving Day race of the day. It's the Grade 3 Red Carpet at Delmar. Mike, who do you like in here?
I'm taking Blame Debbie on top, Dan. As you mentioned, she's a very logical horse here. The distance is fine for her. She's versatile in terms of running style. And with the Chad horse in here, Oglans, it just feels like she's not going to be the favorite here. That's good enough for me.
And again, I think 3-1 and 7-2. That's certainly fair for this horse. She has legitimate credentials. I think in many ways she's the horse to beat. I'm just going to take a shot in here, a little bit of a flyer with going to Vegas on the lead. I liked her last race. It showed at least that she could step with the graded horses, at least in her own division. Now she's going to have to do it against older, but she's almost an older horse in her own right. I'm hoping maybe she can get to the lead and slow this down for Richard Baltus at a big price. It's going to be a fun race on Thanksgiving. It's the Red Carpet Handicap. Best of luck.